What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mindset Cafe podcast. It's your boy, Devin, and today we got a special guest. He is a serial entrepreneur. He owns multiple tax franchises. He's the president of Mancon Tax Services and Incentives, as well as a co-president of Kinsler Brown. So I wanted to bring him on today, not just to speak about his mindset and his journey, but also to speak about the mindset of money and the mindset of your personal finances from an entrepreneur standpoint, as well as, just an individual. So thank you so much for coming on today. Chad, how are you doing?
Great, man, Devin. I appreciate you having me on, buddy. Looking forward to it. Yeah, you kind of captured everything in a nutshell, kind of tax and accounting from A to Z.
What got you into the tax services or accounting? Because I know you're a CPA, but what led you down that road?
Yeah. Well, after attending a handful of different universities, trying to seek out what I was going to do in life, right? When I was younger, other than, the wrong things, hanging out with the wrong crowd and going to clubs. What do I want to do? I start going to class and do something for my career, get focused. And my dad was an accountant, and he was an accountant for a Fortune 500 company, director of federal tax for 30 years for a Fortune 500. And I said, well, he's done all right, and I love my dad. I respect my dad. I'm a lot like my dad. And I said, well, let me do that. And so I kind of started pursuing that. As a degree path, a career path. So went through college, kind of got my undergrad in business administration with emphasis in accounting, and went to work for a CPA firm.
Oh, nice. Did your dad encourage you to go down that route? Was it one of those things where you just kind of admired or just, valued his hard work and his success and wanted to go down that road yourself?
Yeah, man, I'll be honest with you. He didn't push me down that road. I was lost, bro. I mean, I didn't know which direction I was going to go. I knew I couldn't continue doing what I was doing and switching schools. And, I was working full time. I was hanging out with the wrong crowd. I wasn't doing great in school. I didn't have that focus, right? And I just needed something to focus. So I made that decision and moved forward with it. And we're still in that world today, but it's a lot different than it was when I started. What we're doing now, and that's what I really enjoy. We're working more with small business. I'm kind of being an entrepreneur. Working on my own stuff, building it up, but becoming more of an advisor. Not just the numbers and accounting and tax and all of that stuff. Yes, we do that. It tells a story that then we can utilize to help business owners, right? So I'm not much of the behind the desk punching the keyboard guy anymore.
So what was that? I know you've mentioned a couple of times, going down the wrong road and stuff. What was that turning point for you, going between the schools and stuff? What was that turning point and that light bulb moment for you to realize that, you had to shift gears or get serious about your schooling?
Yeah, subconsciously I knew it, right? I knew I was going down the wrong path and wasting a lot of time and money by not focusing. But just the real tangible thing that kind of said, you know what, you got to do something else. I took on an apprentice role for a plumber, and he was a commercial plumber. And I went to school with his daughter, right? Very successful man, respected in the community. So I went to work for him, and I never mind hard work. And so we started, and we were working out of town. So meeting somebody at 4 a.m, driving a couple hours to work, and then driving all the way back at night, and just repeating that cycle for a couple weeks. And you didn't get paid for all that drive time. So that was one, I'm spending a lot of time. I'm not getting, and maybe I was a little greedy at the time, right? Like I'm spending all this time in the car. I'm not getting paid. But the actual work, I was literally, they were doing the plumbing for a hospital. And they were laying some pipe outside, and they dumped dirt on it. And I was the guy down in the trench with the tamper, just packing the dirt because it's got to be packed so much. And it beat the hell out of me, man. And after 2 weeks of that, I said, man, this is, I'm going to go sign up for classes and start school again.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's hard work, and it's one of those things where it's for some people and not for some people. For me, that kind of job wouldn't be my style either. But I don't think it's greedy to think about the drive time and getting paid for that. Is a realization I have had in the past. With your going to school, and because honestly, I switched majors. I was a business major. Accounting was that made me switch from business. It just wasn't for me. When you were taking your accounting classes or when you're taking your business degree, what led you to want to help entrepreneurs, with that specialty? I know that's one of the main focuses you focus on now. What was that deciding factor that was a niche that you wanted to focus on?
Yeah, I didn't really know that until after I got out of school and started working at a CPA firm. Again, I chose that path because it had been successful for somebody else. I wouldn't say I was 100% dialed in and committed to being a typical accountant CPA. When I graduated, I worked for a CPA firm, and the firm, it was a small firm. We did some regional work, maybe some national work for the government, but mostly a local firm. And in a firm that size, you kind of wear a bunch of different hats. You're doing audits, you're doing financial statement reviews, you're doing tax, preparation, you're doing bookkeeping. I mean, it's kind of the full gamut. And I really enjoyed working with the small business owners, in the tax and bookkeeping space. Not necessarily the X's and O's, sitting behind the computer and doing the work, but the story that it told and the value and input that you could give to those business owners to help them, right? I didn't care for the audit part. I didn't care for the auditing, but after a number of years working in the CPA firm, I had a decision to make. Do I want to be a partner at a firm, or do I want to go a different route? I chose to go a different route, and at that time, I had been approached by a franchise, Liberty Tax Service franchise, to invest in some territories, and we did. Chose to go that route. Build, we had 6-7 offices at one time. Sold down. We've got 3 franchise territories right now. Sold some off, closed some, but really that's working with the individuals and not that complex tax returns and to be honest with you, I'm not in the business so much anymore. I'm kind of outside. I handle the QC process for that side of the business, but you can only help individuals so much. I mean, the tax code is such that W-2s, itemized deduct, it's very basic for the most part, at least in that world. So what we did is kind of transition to what I really like doing is the parent company that owns Liberty Tax Services. About a year ago, we started creating a brand around that, Kinsler Brown, and really focused on helping small businesses generate financial statements, know their financial story, and then kind of take it up a notch and help them understand what the financials are telling and help them make strategic decisions in their business to grow, right? It's surprising how many small businesses don't operate from a set of books. It's mind-boggling. So that's kind of our focus now, or at least mine internally in the organization.
No, I agree. A lot of business owners, small business owners, and even people that are scaling don't necessarily track the KPIs or know their KPIs or know their, what a P&L is, let alone, how to use that to fix the problems. If you know the numbers, you can fix the numbers. But if you don't know the numbers, you're just, kind of throwing rocks in the dark, So
yeah.
With that transition from being, working for a corporate company and working for a corporate company and going the entrepreneurial route. So your first step was to go with the franchise model?
Yeah. So when I left the CPA firm, I thought that would be my easiest route, to business ownership. And I believe I was naive to the whole business ownership, entrepreneurial side of things. I had glimpses of it. I had seen others doing it, but until you get in the seat, right, you don't really know what you're getting into. I thought that would be the easiest transition because it had kind of a made for you platform and SOPs and operating manual to just kind of smoothly transition into something else. And it did from a tax standpoint. But I ultimately, after a couple of years, I mean, we were successful uh, first couple of years, and then I decided to expand too quick, and the industry changed a little bit. And we went from being a successful startup to struggling. And I said, I was really good with one location. I was okay and successful with two. But when I had four, I couldn't be me anymore, right? Who I was to make those first two successful. So I really had to step out of the business in the day to day work, right? And start building a team around me to do that. And that's a heck of a transition for somebody coming from a firm, knows what entrepreneurship is, but really doesn't know what it means, wearing multiple hats. And so once you start scaling and if you have aspirations to grow, there's a whole nother level to it. You probably know that as well. So.
No, definitely. And how was that? Because it's an identity shift almost in a way when you are in the business and you do have that realization that by you trying to wear all the hats instead of putting a team in place to wear those hats, you're hurting the business, or you're giving, all of a sudden you have 100% of you and you're giving more and more and more to other things. It gets divided into smaller and smaller percentages. So now it's like, would my 10% of effort be better than someone's 70% compared to my 100%? No. So why not put someone that's a 70, in my standards in that position? Yeah. Because we always have that identity with ourselves that no one can do it better than us. And that's just a realization that you have to realize that they could probably do it just as good if you show them the way you want it done. And so how did you go about that shift? I mean, besides knowing you had to make that shift, like what were the steps? Were you listening to podcasts? Did you have a mentor? Did you reach out to your franchisor? Like what were those steps you used to shift your mindset?
Yeah, so after opening multiple stores, 4 or 5, I can't remember exactly how many it was. It was a realization that I made that I had to start empowering people, and it was very, very hard. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think even today that I'm great at it. Kind of, it's a strength that I like to control things, but it's a it's a weakness as well, right? At the time that I did it, I don't know that podcasts exist. I didn't know of them at the time. So this was several years ago. But ultimately, I kind of got to a point where more isn't better. I kind of downsized. And then a couple years after that, I partnered with someone else that had been in the Liberty retail tax system. And we came together and opened up some more offices. So we had multiple players in the game now. So he had strengths, I had strengths. We both had weaknesses. We kind of balanced each other. So that was one way that we really did that. And we scaled up, did very well, sold off some stores, bought the area development, built up the area. And then, the industry's kind of changed. So we won't get into all that detail of the retail tax world. But that's one of the ways I did it, is brought somebody else in, a partner with somebody that had strengths that I didn't. Then, what I realized is I was still trying to control that world. And it wasn't until I think it was 2019 I joined a mastermind called Apex. And in Apex, I got around folks that were doing better than I was, or were where I wanted to be, and some that were further behind than me, right? But I quickly realized that the ones up here didn't get there by themselves. And they got there by being uncomfortable and trusting other people. And so in 2019, 2020, my partner and I decided, okay, he and our director of operations, which is his wife, are handling the retail tax side of things. I handle the Kinsler Brown side of things, the small business, tax incentives, tax planning, bookkeeping, accounting, advisory stuff. And so once we give control over to him on that and his team, and he's great at delegating and bringing people up, and it's just blossoming. I mean, it's great. It's been a neat trend to see over the last couple of years. And the Kinsler Brown side, I mean, we've doubled in the last year from where we were when we started the actual bookkeeping, accounting, advisory side as well. So, and that's my zone. So, but I still have to be careful because we're building a team right now. I'll put the brakes on the sales and marketing. Let's get some more pieces. Then let's go forward. Then let's get more pieces. And I've got a real key team member by my side that's helping build that. And I can delegate, and I trust her very much.
So that's awesome. I mean, knowing how to delegate, and honestly, leadership in general is a skill, and yes, there are natural born leaders, but still being able to effectively lead and communicate and delegate is a skill that is constantly developed. So, I mean, that's awesome that your business is continuing to grow and that you're delegating and kind of putting different hats even on you and your partner and having your own sides to it, because it keeps you guys from bumping heads. I mean, me and my business partner, we both have our roles, we both know our roles, and it allows us to not really cross lanes too much, which allows us to continue to scale twice as fast as if it was just one of us.
100%. If there's one thing I wish I knew when I started or got into entrepreneurship, when I'm in my early 30s, right, went out on my own, is the power of team, the power of trust in a great team, and the importance of investing that extra dollar that you have that you really want to put in your pocket, but invest in somebody else that's going to bring you value down the road that you can add to your team. Don't be afraid to invest in your people.
Oh, definitely. That's a huge key like nugget right there, that it's not about like how much can you make. If you focus on how much you can make your team, you essentially start to reap the benefits as well. But your team is happy, so they're going to produce better work, and stay with you for the long run. But I think that also with having a partnership, you have a successful partnership. I mean, I have a successful partnership. And I know when we first started our business, I'm not sure if you heard the same stuff, but everyone says, or a lot of people say, don't get a business partner. Business partnerships always fail and X, Y, and Z, when in reality, majority may fail, but it wasn't the right partnership, or you partnered with the wrong person. If you have a successful partner, you can scale faster than a solopreneur, because now you have two people that have their eggs in the basket, and now you don't have to worry about every little thing because you have someone side by side with you.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, when we first got going, I mean, that's a huge comment. A lot of partnerships do fail, and the reason why they fail, and the reason a lot of things fail, is ego. Yeah, that's why marriages fail. That's why any partnership or anything involving other people, when ego gets in the room.
Yeah,
right.
Ego, and trust.
Yeah. So when you've got like my partner and I, we're both two alphas, right? We're very strong mind and strong will, and we've had our knockout dragouts, man, and it hasn't been pretty, but the end goal never changed. But we did realize that, hey, listen, we can't be trying to drive the same bus,
right?
This is the goal. This is the North Star, right? There can be there's multiple buses under that to get there, right? You drive this bus because you're really good at that, and I'm going to stay out of your way out. And we're going to talk about things and make decisions together, but I'm going to give you the authority over here. Likewise, you do the same for me over here, and it's just great. I mean, it works tremendously. It has for the last couple of years, but we had to let our egos kind kind of get out of the way and for it to work.
No, I agree 100% with you. So with your now, kind of transitioning into the stuff that you were talking about, you're doing more now instead of the retail tax support and tax franchising and stuff, or tax services. What is the advising work and, all those kind of services that you currently are doing, and what has led you to transition into that?
Yeah. So with Kinsler Brown, our primary focus is optimizing the financial growth and well-being of our those we serve, essentially, and that's our clients, that's our team, that's everybody. And Kinsler Brown is the whole nucleus of everything we offer. The brand Kinsler Brown is our bookkeeping, accounting, and advisory services. That specifically focuses on working with small businesses to provide them opportunities for better success. Right? We've I'll tell you a story. I was in a room with about 60 to 70 other entrepreneurs. And this was a group, a room that you pay to be in every quarter. And you pay significantly to be in it. And the meetup that we had was covering finance, right? Business finance, your bookkeeping, accounting. And the question was asked, how many people in here have a P&L, profit and loss statement? Less than half the room raised their hand. And these are folks that invest significant dollars to be in that room, and it blew my mind, right? So what we really do is start at the basic. We work with small businesses that don't have a set of books, show them how to get a set of books, right? And then we transition. Once you know your set of books and you can kind of do cash flow projections, understand your numbers, establish KPIs, then you can track where you're at, where you want to go. And then after you build up that data, go back and see, are we progressing or not? What changes do we need to make? So we help them get to that point. Also, we look at other opportunities. There's tax credits available out there. Employee retention tax credit's a big one that's helped a lot of businesses. There's a tax credit within the Families First initiative that not a lot of 1099 sole proprietors know about that they may benefit from. There's research and development. There's different tax strategies. So once we get financials, then we start looking at these other opportunities to provide value to our clients, right? Whether it be improved cash flow, strategic decision making, to make just creating certainty in their business so they can make educated decisions. And that's a rewarding part for me. Having been, kind of that startup and tripped over, going through a lot of those obstacles and hurdles myself. It's rewarding to be able to assist those kind of moving forward, make them more successful, and avoid some of those mistakes maybe that I made.
No, I mean, that's awesome. And I bet it's rewarding when you see like one of your clients' faces when you start, showing them all the different ways they can save or improve, or for those that don't have a P&L, what it looks like and how they can start improving their business. So I know when I was personal training, seeing the results or having a client tell me the results and how proud they were and excited, it was one of the most fulfilling things for myself. And I'm sure in being an entrepreneur just such as yourself, like those kind of financial improvements, that's the main stress of an entrepreneur, right? Is financials. So with the coaching and stuff and the advising that you're doing, I'm assuming that, you guys still handle the taxes and all that stuff, but now you're kind of almost acting as like a partial CFO, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, to a certain extent, we can. I would say CFO, there's a whole lot of different definitions of CFO, right? But yeah, I guess in some capacity we do operate as an assistant CFO, somebody that comes in and kind of helps them analyze financial statements. And if, kind of track KPIs and that sort of thing. We also do base level bookkeeping, for the small guy that doesn't need that CFO level yet, just to make sure they have the financial information that they need. Yeah.
So do you, like for the people that, do want a little more of an active role, or do you have anyone that's calling you and like asking for advice if, hey, can I afford to do this? Or is this the smart move to make, or should I wait until X, Y, and Z happen?
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of them make the decisions and then call. But yeah, no, we're definitely there. And I advise all my clients, if you're going to make a big purchase or do something drastic, let's chat about it. Not necessarily because I'm brighter than you or smarter than you, but two minds together discussing and brainstorming something, the ifs, ands, or buts, make for a better decision-making process if it's a big deal, especially if it could involve tax or something like that. In fact, I had a client call the other day. They were going to, mom struggling financially, this whole slew of different, they were going to gift the house to a family member, and they were going to take over management, paying the property taxes, all that. Well, that's a bad move from a tax perspective, right? Gifting a house, because the value of that house, it's going to come over at the same value that mom bought it for. So down the road, if they sell it for $500,000 and it's got a floor of 100, they've got significant gains, right?
Right.
But if she passes and that is in her will and it transfers to this person, now the basis is the fair market value at the date of death, which is a heck of a lot higher than it was 30 years ago when she bought the place. So things like that. And you'd be surprised that the folks that don't call somebody when they're making those types of decisions. But fortunately, this client did. And, we're working with a client right now and we just started working with them not too long ago. They're a $2 million company. They're in the construction business. But when you're talking, margins, knowing your financial statements, and they have a good set of books, they're paying their bills and everything, but it's not structured the right way. It's not giving them everything they need. But you start looking at margins, and they're about 5 to 10% below industry standards. Well, what is that? Why? So we decided we'd go through and see if there's any waste in the financial statements. Are you paying for your kids' lunch ticket? Are you paying for your kids' gas? Are you paying for your vacations out of the business? Whatever. Everything's cleaned out, scrubbed out, and say, okay, what's the business giving you? And the business is struggling. They are pricing way, way too low. And, so if they're a $2 million business and you can talk 5-10% in increased margin, that's $100,000 to $200,000 just by making a few tweaks to your contracts, right? I mean, that's real dollars.
Yeah.
And I go, well, we never really thought of it that well, because you're comfortable.
Do you think that, and I mean, this is a talk that I have with my team as well. Do you think that they weren't raising their prices because they wanted to provide that, like, not cheap, but they didn't want to overprice it for the customer, or they just maybe never thought of their price increase? Because it's one of those things where you don't want to be necessarily the most expensive just to be the most expensive, but there's that other flip to the coin where we're the cheapest solution. It would be dumb not to go with us, which can kind of hurt you as well.
Yeah, I think that might play into it. I think the foundation of the issue was simply two partners, maybe a little bit of ego. Each side, one partner handles that side, the other partner handles the project management side. They're not sitting down, they're not discussing financials, they're not reviewing proposals or estimates for jobs together. They're totally kind of operating separate and distinct from one another. So I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that the fear of hearing no does hurt, because the first question I asked said, how many no's do you get when you send out an estimate? Oh, we generally land every job we bid. I tell you something, 10 to 15% of the people aren't at least giving you some, hesitation or pushback or something, and you don't have to overcome any objections, then you're priced too low.
Yeah.
That's just a simple, it's not accounting. It's just, what's the pulse of everybody?
I think that's your experience as well as a, a long-term entrepreneur and realizing that as well, because you, especially new entrepreneurs or people in business, if you're not getting any objections, it's not because your product is that good. It's because your product is that competitive in price, which means that you could probably go up a few bucks and still be that good in terms of price. But you're only hurting yourself. You're not giving more value to the customer necessarily. You're only hurting yourself, which means in the long run, you're not going to be able to, in business, and be able to serve customers. So you're going to end up hurting your customer in the long run.
Yeah. No, 100% agreed.
So with your journey as an entrepreneur, how has your personal development played a role in leading to where you are now and where you continue to go in the future?
Yeah, I tell you what, in prior to 2019, I did very little on professional development. I really didn't focus a lot of attention on my mind. My fitness was ish, but yeah, my professional development outside the continuing ed credits, right, that you had to take to maintain your license, those sorts of things was non-existent. Then I kind of got at a crossroads. I was at the time kind of burn out with the retail tax side of things. Kind of my partner and I trying to both control the same widget and both having the egos. And I decided, I need to pour into myself and just change my mindset. And that's when I started I started in Ryan Stewman's sales talk group. Met a few folks in there that were kind of like-minded, achieving things that I kind of sold myself short on, like, man, and realized that, yeah, I need to be in some of these rooms. So I talked to some guys. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, Council Iowa. There were some guys from in sales talk I met, and they were in Apex. And, I'm saying, okay, well, let me join Apex. So I joined Apex and just started connecting with some folks. And shortly after I joined, I got a kind of an accountability group put together with five or six of us, and we get together every week and talk about wins, losses, what we can do together, how we can help each other, that sort of thing. And started reading. I did 75 hard about that time. Started reading every day. And you mentioned podcasts earlier. That's when I okay, there's podcasts. How do these things work? Was when I started 75 hard and said, let me start listening to podcasts. So that was 2019. I listen to them daily now. We have one, and I'm on one. So, it's been tremendous value. Just like anything, if you pour battery acid on flowers, they're going to die.
Right.
And if your mind's the same way, you're pouring the wrong stuff into your mind, bad music, bad stories, bad people, bad, network, it's going to poison your mind. So, but the same is true if you water it with wholesome, good stuff, fertilize that mind, and you can go anywhere you want. And I think, at least for me, the mind tends to, I'm kind of a devil's advocate, right? My mind fights against me sometimes. And I think everybody's natural tendencies is to gravitate towards negativity to a certain extent if you don't do anything.
Right.
But if you feed your mind with good stuff daily, consistently, over and over and over again, whether it's podcasts on your way to work, podcasts at the gym, reading a book in the morning or before you go to bed, just pouring into yourself. And I tell you what, I've 10x'd where I was in 2019 to where I am today, if not more.
That's awesome.
100%.
So what's next for you? I mean, now that you're doing the consulting and you're a serial entrepreneur, like what's your next goal?
Yeah, our goal, at least, from a business standpoint, is to continue to grow and scale the right way. I've taken on some opportunities and done really, really well, but there's another level out there that I've been introduced to, and some of the work and joint ventures I've done with folks. I've been thinking way, way too small. But we did a joint venture with somebody, and I'll tell you, I'm still learning lessons to this day. A couple years ago, started a joint venture, and these guys are going to generate leads. My team and I are going to do the work on some tax credit stuff. And boy, did they generate leads. I'm thinking onesie, twosies here, there, referral stuff. And bam, man, and I was caught, with my pants down, so to speak. Like, hey, I don't have the back end support to support it. So it took me a few months to really get a team together that gelled, and over a year to really get it to where I was not the operator within that thing. So we're looking to scale our Kinsler Brown side of the business to help more and more small businesses across the country. We've got levels to it, but we're in the process right now of building a team. I'm in a new office. That's why there's nothing held up. My team is moving in. Some tomorrow. We're hiring. We've got three full-time, I think, folks that are working with us remotely as well. And we're getting ready to onboard a couple more outsourced workers on our team to really build up. I mean, we haven't really started mass marketing or doing anything to scale it, nor do I think we will. But we want to have the team in place to support all those clients to come on board. Because I don't want to work with somebody that doesn't get a return on their investment. Honestly, if your accountant, your CPA, your advisor, your whatever you call them, if you question that value you receive, you don't need them.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't need them. And if that's me, for some of then they don't need me if I'm not giving them value.
Right. So what I like to do is, before we wrap everything up, is I like to ask one question. Over your journey as an entrepreneur and your journey of personal development and professional development, what is one key advice that either you've heard or you've learned along the way that you would like to distill, amongst the listeners to help them along their journey?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing for me is build your network. Build your network of people that you aspire to be like, that you are after the same things and you share the same values. Just get around good people. That may be masterminds, that may be at your church, it may be both. Right? Put yourself in the circles of winners. I think the saying is, and I don't know who's credited with it, but if you hang around 5 millionaires that are good business owners, good husbands, good Christians, good faith, whatever it is, you're going to be the sixth, right? But if you hang out with 5 people that go to the bar every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and kind of piss their hopes and dreams away, you're going to be the sixth as well. So surround yourself with good people, not necessarily in the same industry, but are in entrepreneurship or in business or doing something that you want to do. Surround yourself with those people, because those above you want to pull you up. That's a natural desire to help others. And at the same time, you'll be fortunate enough to help those that are below you kind of get to the level you're at now.
I 100% agree with that. Show me your circle and I'll show you who you are, kind of deal.
Yeah, because I've been in some wrong ones, man.
Oh, no, believe me, I think we all have. And that's one of those things that's led us to learn those lessons, to make that realization so it doesn't happen again, but you have to have that realization. Where can people find you, or, whether it's social media or, if your website to get some more tax advice or even just, financial?
Yeah, you can find us on our website, kinslerbrown.com. kinslerbrown.com. I'm on social, Chad S. Brown CPA on Instagram, Chad Brown on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. I don't know what my TikTok handle is. I'm more of just I scroll through and look at funny videos on that one. But yeah, the website's best. If you ever want to get in touch, just, go to our website, kinslerbrown.com, and put some information. We can chat. Like I said, my goal is to get people what they need to succeed in business. And my strength is in the financial side. If you're a small business is just getting started that can't afford necessarily to pay a bookkeeper, just book a call. Me or somebody on my team will tell you how to do it for free, right? Get a set of books. It'll help you in the long run.
Definitely. I'll definitely put your contact links and your website in the show notes as well. But again, I just want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're moving offices and stuff, but thank you so much for hopping on and spreading some wisdom.
Yeah, Devin, I appreciate the opportunity, man.
All right, we'll stay in touch soon.
All right, take care.